everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We got CPL, another cast. Week 5. The week of good map pool. Week 5, by far, best map pool, in my opinion. Or at least for how I like to play. We're doing Tier 3 tonight. We're doing Tier 2 tomorrow. Lots of games, so it's going to be fun. We're splitting it up a little bit because I did the beginner tour cast just a little bit before, which if you're into CPL stuff and you don't know anything about that, you should check it out. It might be something for you. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about CPL tonight. We got Puck Frotoss versus Salt Mines. Tier 3 matches, and we got 2 games for you. And we're starting off with a TVZ. And that's going to be between Buenaventura and between Azrael, right? Yeah, Azrael? Okay. So, we got Azrael, he's the green Terran. We got Buenaventura, the blue Zerg. And I've casted a decent amount of Buena's games now. He participates a little bit in that beginner tour. I don't really know much about Azrael, though. Buena seems to be a pretty solid Zerg, so excited to see how this one plays out. And we're on cross game, which I love this map. I love this map to death. I didn't realize how much I was gonna miss it until it was gone, which is just unfortunate. Inverted ramps are a glorious thing. It's like Christmas, but I don't have to wait a year. I can just play the map and be like, oh, I could just walk in. This is so fun. But I always a little bit surprised every time I watch games on this map where it's like, I'm like, oh, it's inverted ramps. Like, if you get control, if you get aggression, it's so hard to escape. And then so many people do normal, fast expand, macro kind of builds. So, we're going to see what these guys are up to. Nothing terribly unusual yet. Not a 9-pull or anything crazy from Buena. Ezreal's not walling off, which a lot of people I do see, they do the wall with the depots and barracks by the front so they can get that early expansion. Because it's not like on like a fighting spirit where if you build the command center in your main, you have that ramp to protect. It makes it easier to like not spot it or anything like that. Here, if you make the wall and you're on the high ground anyway, then you can just do the I would say low ground command center, but it's not low. So you kind of don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff or having to figure out like how am I going to float it up. You don't have to worry about losing control of the ramp because you just build a nice wall right between there or get a bunker or something. But with Azrael building all his buildings so far back, that's not going to be quite the option you would think. Nothing crazy so far though, just getting that early barracks, no proxy, no nothing. We see from Buena going for that hatchery first instead. And then he built the hatchery, then built another drone, so let's see if he wants to be a little greedy before he slams on the pool. He didn't do like 12 then 11. Did eke out an extra drone for a little extra greed. Which, I mean, if he gets away with it, good for him. Never a bad idea to try to be a little bit extra greedy, but especially on a map like this, 2-player map, the walk distance isn't terribly long, and there's the inverted ramp. I would think people would want to do more aggressive builds, and we do see Azrael building that command center. Like I'm saying, there's no real advantage to building it down here than floating it, so you might as well build it up here. But if you're going to build it up there, have the extra protection of the wall, I think. Building the stuff far back, it makes your macro setup easier later if you're like used to a certain setup, but you know, it's all the same. We do see Buena going for that third hatchery right before the gas, so he's gonna really get his larva going and get that little extra macro going. And we're gonna see if he can stop this drone from escaping with the marine. Shouldn't be able to. The drone should be able to get out if it wants to. But you see how fast that command center was. No bunker yet, no nothing. So pool being finished, we don't see any like massive amount of Zerglings on the way, so they're not going to try to put pressure on this or force the bunker or anything like that. So Buena really just planning to get his game online, which I mean I'm curious to see what he's up to. It might just be some kind of like a 3-hatch mutaplay or something like that. I don't see why you would do much else on this. Lurkers would probably be decent, but like the way the ramps are set up, lurkers aren't going to be quite as good as some other things. Like trying to push up this might be a little more difficult. There's a lot of walking paths, so I mean setting up a trap's nice, but it's not going to be like a surefire thing. Meanwhile, if you go mutas, you got all these ridges, tons of open space. You got this whole unwalkable terrain down here that you can abuse. It's a very good muta map in my opinion. Or like going like big macro, just taking like another third base really quick and forcing the Terran to be the one to be proactive. We do see that bunker starting from Terran, and he's getting that supply. So he's building the wall, just wanted to delay it a little bit, not have that up at the front immediately. But getting that reasonably quick there, and getting that second gas, still making me think Mutus. When you get 2 gases this quick, that's usually an indication of Mutus. So, and Azrael fully aware of this kind of stuff, already getting that eBay way earlier than he has to. So hopefully he's planning to get like +1 weapons and make some kind of push out of it, not just very aggressively defensive turrets. Unless there are like he's trying to hit a timing to make sure he has turrets for 2 hatch muted compared to 3, because that does hit a little faster and can be really dangerous if you're not ready for it. But I mean, having the defense is better than not having it, so I don't really care how the timing works with that. You see, when getting that spire makes all the sense in the world. Like what other? It's not like there's a glaring this build is better. So like I don't see why you would do something else. And Astral starting to add on a couple more barracks. Looks like well, get up to a couple, and it has the academy nearly completion as well. So going to be able to get the upgrades, get stem as well, and then really just start cranking out the infantry. So wonder if it's going to be like a 5 racks kind of play where you do the +1 and get your double marine upgrades through the academy, and to do that big mid game push to either break their front or punish their third if they expand too quickly. You see Buena actually having a little group of lings, which is nice, and he does have that one to scout if there's some kind of move out, but he's not really like trying to poke up and see what's going on. If you could see like a mass of units or anything, might be able to get a little bit of knowledge that way. You do see one blind sunken. Doing blind static defense against Terran in this matchup, like if you don't react fast enough, it won't be up in time. So I don't mind doing this, but like, it's not like he's slamming down 4 and fully ready for any push. Not just blindly doing it, because that's very expensive on your drones and money. So like just doing 1's okay, and then if you want to like get creep tumors ready but not turn them into sunkens right away, something like that. But really just like really poking up, being proactive, and then you can kind of tell like how many barracks does he have by how many units and how fast they're being built. We do see Azrael going up to that 5 barracks, very normal kind of style. I feel like I see this build more often than like anything else. Like not even just in TVZ, just like in general. Like I think every time I watch a matchup, you know, there's like, oh, this is the standard build, whatever. I think I could blindly assume this 5 racks with upgrades in TVZ is the thing I could assume and be correct the most often. But I mean, the build seems really good, so I get it. Now we do see the Spire being up, Mutas being in production, and then Hydralisk Den also. So we're going to have some pretty quick lurkers going to help defend like this base here. Having to go up the ramp to punish that is difficult. Having lurkers up at this side or like in one of the walkways. Now the Muta's moving out, not the full group, only 7, and he's gonna hit these Marines on the way. He has to be careful. He's taking a lot of damage for free on the Mutas. Actually loses one of them as well. Definitely a little unfortunate. But now has these ridges to play with. And that's why I like Mutas on this map. You have all these little ridges to play with. You can poke at the Marines and try to force them back. Now I think that would have been so much better. Like if the Terran was a little further up, and then he could actually engage that with the Lings in the Muta and clean up the whole force, then he could really put some pressure on. But the way he's in the spot now is going to be a little difficult. Muta's already starting to get bridged, and with that scan, he already took out an Overlord, which is going to supply cap mana effectively, and that means you have to still keep back with the Muta. So they're not quite doing as much damage as you might hope. Now, so like if you can't like get into this mineral line, like there's a turret there, there's a bunker, there's all the Marines. You can look for other spots too. Like you can go towards the production. Like if you swoop in over here, no turrets, nothing that's gonna stop any of this, and then you can force the units back. Like really start trying to be abusive and try to figure stuff out. There's actually not even turrets on like the top side of this really, so you could definitely do a lot more damage to these Mutas. So you're just not looking around very hard for them. I do see Azrael moving out. Mutas keep trying to poke in a little bit, try to pin him back. But Azrael did clean up a good chunk of the Lang, so we're going to see how Lang is going to react in time. Lurker aspect in the process, but not done yet, and it can be done for a little while. When he keeps losing Overlords, he definitely overbuilt them a little bit, so he's not going to be supply blocked anytime soon. But losing things for free is never the way you want to do it. But this is buying him time to get these creep colonies. I think this is maybe overkill, getting 5 of them for this group. That seems like it might be overkill, but I'm not entirely sure of that. We do have the machine shop on the way, so he should be able to add a couple siege tanks to help force his way into whatever base. and then Starport on the way, which should be for Science Vessels a little bit later on too. But I mean, once we get into this mid game, mutas, like, now they're on the map, they're doing muta things. But, like, you know, lurkers are coming, so you need detection, you're gonna need a radiate, and then from Zerg, we're looking that he should be thinking about getting Hive at some point soon, so he can get the Filers and start playing against all this big force of Marines. Marines pushing forward, lots of defense here, not gonna be able to push that, but doesn't have the lurkers or anything here, so that third base is definitely gonna be easy to go into. Takes a scan to see that that if this is worth going for or not. Says doesn't want to like run up and commit to it. Curious if he wants to try to scan and find the other base, but it doesn't seem like he's doing it just yet. We do have a couple lurkers up there, so if he wants to push up, he can still actually fight this. I think these are gonna shoot out and do some good damage. So all I gotta do is like send one unit up first, let them bait the shot a little bit. And that definitely works at this lower skill levels where you can't assume people are doing stuff like Hold Lurker and any of that kind of stuff. Queen's Nest seems like it's about to be finished, so Hive should be on the way shortly. And we do have a Vulture, and so I was expecting out of this to see something like some siege tanks or something, but he's actually building Vultures. I actually don't see that follow-up super much, and I think that's cool. If he's depends what he's using it for. If he's just getting it as a unit to be a unit, because I don't see him, like, he's getting the thrusters now, but he's got spider mines, but he's not like laying the spider mines anywhere. So let's see what he actually does with the vultures, because it's not like he built a couple. He already has the 3 here, and he's kind of just queuing them up a little. But definitely a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing it. I think that's pretty cool. Hive about halfway done now, so we'll have to see if there's going to be any kind of push. We got the vultures laying mines between the bases. Don't know. He still has no idea about this third. You can take a educated guess that it's there, but he doesn't know effectively. And instead, he's just going to take that mineral base right in front of his, slowly expand out, take the closest expansion rather than maybe something like this is a little easier. We do got a couple stim marines that catch these moves out of there, and 6 marines with stim, and they got some of these upgrades as well. They mow through those 2 mutalisks without losing too much. Definitely a good trade for the turn. We're going up to 2 starports so we can really get a good building of the science vessels, and then maybe later if you want to do something like dropships or something like that, or radiates in the process, and just still building out of these barracks. I don't see like, we just started the +2 weapons, so they'll keep going with that. Not gonna fall behind the upgrades at all. Zerg still trying to do their best, only doing armor right now, not really worrying about melee attacks or anything. The big thing is just they need to not all instantly die, so I get that. Defiler Mound also in process, about halfway done now. And we do see a couple Scourge starting to float around, because if you see, like, once we're getting into this party game, you can start counting on science vessels a little bit. So I think he wants to move out some Scourge and see if he can get something done. Get a vulture to poke up, get a really good idea of what's there to actually defend. A couple sunken, some lurkers, links to plug up the chokes. And it's like, it's not like if you run up with all this stuff with Terran and up into there, you might lose a lot of things. So he's being patient, just taking little pokes here and there. Still does not know about this 3rd base at all. Hasn't checked the 4th base, hasn't like really, he's like pretty turtle in on, I'm gonna stop you in front of your natural, but it feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity that maybe he could have gotten something done. Finally, just scans there to see what's going on. So, and he's starting to move his units. With the scan, he did see the lurker, so it's not like they're going to be totally in dark. He has a science vessel, which right now is completely unprotected. If these Scourge find it, that would be super bad, because it's hard to keep up on the science vessel count if you lose the first one before it does anything. Command center being finished for the Terran, so you should be able to start doing that up. We actually just have a bunch of dropship play, not really investing in a ton of science vessels, rather have dropships to open up the Zerg, which that's totally fine. But there's Scourge kind of floating around everywhere, like he's even just patrolling them to stop things like dropships. So if he can get something like this done, that sounds like it'd be real good. Get that first radiate off on the front lurker. Now right here, there are 3 of them, but the one's pretty far back, so like when you have the 2 lurkers, the shots will go through and they can do pretty significant damage. Now we do see the Scourge trying to go forward and get the vessel, but because they flew directly into a million Marines, that they didn't get anywhere near it. Now there are the Scourge down here, those could get to it, and we'll have to see. Azrael spending a bunch of scans, wants to get a good idea of what bases are going on. Sees nothing else, so he really just sees the 3 bases he was expecting. See him still just kind of poking up a little bit here and there. And actually, that could have been a little dangerous if that Link got a good Mind Drag off. That could have done a lot more damage. Playing a little bit with fire with where these mines are and how he's keeping his army. This might be worth just killing a couple of these. Mines like off to the side a little bit seem like to be better just to restrict movement and flanks or just get you vision. Rather than having them like right on top of your marines and hoping nothing happens. First Darkstorm goes down, Lurker climbs down, but Terran already moved away from the spot, so bad luck. Terran moving up a little bit. Now we're up to 3 science vessels, so going to be able to really start doing some irradiates and getting things done. And he does that next to irradiate on the Lurker at that base. Now there's not going to be any more Lurkers guarding the ramp, so he will be able to move up once that dies. So we're going to see what does Azrael want to do. This little Lurker is actually stopping the reinforcement of the tanks, although there are multiple paths to move from that. You can go like through here, through the middle, up around the top. He didn't have to go this way in particular, but I mean these are pretty good. And then he has some Lings, which does kill out the vultures, and then these couple Lings, one of the tanks goes down, and it looks like Azrael's going to start moving up and see what he can get done. These Lings are going to do absolutely nothing going to a choke with a million guns firing at them. There's still one Lurker back here, so I don't know if Azrael actually caught that or really noticed it. Just the ones at the ramp, maybe. Gets a scan, it's going straight for that Lurker. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of damage from it. So, seems like he's going to be able to push this out and do a decent job. Lurker's moving forward to actually stop them at the ramp under a Dark Swarm. One of them gets irradiated, though, so... not sure how much is going to get done. It looks like the other one got irradiated as well. Would love to see the raids on the Defilers though, because they're more important than the Lurkers here. I mean, he still does have those dropships somewhere, right? Didn't he have some? Where'd they go? Yeah, he still has 2 dropships. They could be used to evac this whole army out. He doesn't have to fight his way down the ramp. Having units he's not really making use of, that's fine. Killed the 3rd base, which is a big deal, and then he's starting to take his own 4th. So Terran's definitely in a fantastic spot right now. So we're going to see what goes on from here. We got a couple Lurkers and a couple Defilers kind of chilling off in a spot that seems potentially vulnerable. And here we got a couple Lurkers, so they had no intention of trying to go through this ramp anytime soon. You can just wait for energy, I think, and just irradiate. Tons of Scourge going in to kill a bunch of these science vessels, so that's going to definitely slow down that plan a little bit. Does end up killing the Lurkers for losing too much, but definitely weakened it a bit, and now you can see the rally point going into a different spot where hopefully you can get a decent flank. There's no defense here at all, so these Lurkers coming in, if Azrael's not paying attention, this is going to do a tremendous amount of damage almost immediately. But they're just kind of they're thinking about it, and they gave Azrael the time he needed to get out of there. Unfortunate. If he just committed to that immediately, they would have killed that entire line of workers. So, good plans, but just a little bit off. We still got this pretty potent army. We got the Dark Swarms, Lings, and Lurkers going through. And we're starting to get that Ultras armor, so looking like Azrael's are going to have to deal with a bunch of Ultras soon. Buena has plenty of money banked up to go into proper Zerg late game of, I made a bunch of Ultras because, oh yeah, I forgot I was rich. Which totally makes sense. Azrael only at 2-1 though, but nearing completion, pretty close to his 3-2, so when those Ultras pop, he's going to be in a good spot. Scourge going through. Do get one of the vessels, but not all of them. We still have 4 dropships that have not been used for a single thing. I don't know why he's making them if he's not going to use them. I feel like if they were just more science vessels, this whole army and composition would have been a lot stronger. Like the dropship had a cool was a cool idea. I think if you try to go in, pick off a tech structure, pull units back while you attack the 3rd or some stuff like that, makes sense to me. But if you're not going to use them, like. If these were if you made these at the end and made these instead into science vessels earlier, they'd be like max energy and like really killing it. So these things going forward now, they got a decent amount of armor, they got the adrenal upgrade, so they're actually doing a pretty good job fighting these Marines. Although once it's like 6 medics versus a couple Marines, these guys are actually kind of tanks forever. We got the 1 Marine left, not enough to do it, and these medics are all just gonna heal each other and waste a ton of time in a very comical fashion. We do see Buena keeps moving forward a little bit here, stopping the mining of this base here. And these Dark Swarms and Lurkers are still going to do a lot of work, but a Radius is still going to help out pretty decently. Looks like the medics finally go down. Takes quite a while. Now we do have this base up and running for Terran, so he's still in a good spot. 3 bases to 2. Not that this is particularly well defended, but Zerg's kind of not in a spot where you can keep pressuring. The all the fights have been slowly going Terran's way, because he's had more money for much longer. He shut down that third base, and Zerg never even got an attempt at the fourth. So we gotta see what is Zerg's plan moving forward. If it's a bunch of ultras, okay, that seems okay, but you gotta, like, that's gonna be a one punch to burn your bank, but you're not gonna be able to support that economy. You need to get that next base up, and you do see a drone moving up to try and do that. And we see a whole bunch of army moving forward, and notably a lot of fire bats that can fight under the Dark Swarm. So really trying to stifle the way when it's playing this, but when the ultras pop out, when 12 ultras pop out, we'll have to see how this one goes. We do see Zerg taking this base up to 12. I don't like this. He's gonna have to be dealing with the Terran force that's so close ground-wise, and it's like there's nothing wrong with this base right here. You still get another ramp to play with lurkers and stuff. Like, why do this? If nothing else, like, Terran could just be annoying and like siege up 2 tanks and slowly chip at it and force you to come fight him rather than you getting the defensive advantage. So I don't like the placement of that. Looks like we got a pretty big drop for the Terran. Finally making use of these dropships, but with a million ultras just hanging out, his dropship's gonna peel out without doing a whole lot. And now Azrael knows what he's up against and he has to figure out how he's gonna handle it. Got a little group of Marine coming out. They're actually gonna catch a decent amount of Overlords here. Buena is pretty close to the thing, so he's actually gonna be supply blocked for quite a bit. But with the ultras moving into the middle of the map, and see where he wants to push and how he's gonna make the next attack. Meanwhile, Azrael going around the other way. They're kind of circling each other. So Azrael moving forward, see if he wants to go for this. I still don't like going for this with this much defense. It's gonna be hard to break. But if you can shut down this third again, that sounds like it'd be really good. But Zerg makes the first move and goes forward with a million Ultralisks. And let's see what goes on from here. He's pushing forward. Darkstorm definitely gonna make this quite a pain. If you had the science vessels back here so you can start irradiating the ultras and irradiating the filers, so you can actually slow this down a bit. And so he's trying to hold this one off. Meanwhile, Terran moving forward into this well-defended natural expansion. And let's see, does he have enough to actually break it? We see a good amount of the ultras, still 10 of them, pretty healthy. Marine Medic Army also pretty healthy, and Azrael tapping out first. I feel like he was in a good spot, like 99% of that game. I'm surprised that's how that happened, especially after the drop. He sees all the ultras. You go back and try to defend against it, look for other expansions, just keep choking the Zerg out. Like, Zerg, his natural was already mined out, the main's close to it. If you shut down his third and defend, you're in a good spot. So I think Azrael should have won that game. But props for Buena for staying in and making use of a really fantastic unit. Is a good way to burn a ton of money really quickly. He kept up with his upgrades to keep them useful, so it all makes sense. Good for him. Hey dude, what's up, Chess? Alright, so we are going to be going into game 2 between Buena and Azrael, tier 3, TVZ. This time we're going to be on Fighting Spirit. What a good map. So we got Azrael, he's playing, it looks like Teal Terran this time, versus Buena and the Blue Zerg. And they're playing cross spots, so always interested to see how players want to play against this. Terran gets 3 bases so easily on this map, but then Zerg having the extra time to react with like Sunkens and stuff can be a little greedier with his economic play. You know what? Forget all of that. We can see right up here. Some minerals are building up, and I don't think that's for an early Overlord. So we got Buena looking like he's going for a 5 pool, so we're going to cast this in a fun way that I'm really going to look more at Azrael, because it's going to be a spawning pool, it's going to be links until he wins or loses. So let's see how Azrael plays. In game 1, he didn't wall off, and that could really hurt him right now, because of that. I wonder if this is like a decision. Did Buena see, oh, you don't wall. Oh, this is going to be great. And we do see that first depot not going near the front for a wall, not at the choke at the natural, not at the ramp, nothing. has no intention of walling out. So, oh, this is gonna be brutal. Now, I think there's still definitely a good chance Azrael can hold this off, especially if he identifies it. But with cross spawns, he's not going to scout it first, so he's not going to have that chance to actually see it coming. The barracks being so far away from the rest of the base is also going to be a problem, because if the Lings like get here, right, and they're trying to like pressure into these SCVs and start poking at things, the Marines are going to pop way out here, and they're going to be so easy to like split the force between harassing workers and killing SCVs. This is definitely going to be a problem. Now, and funnily enough, because of the crossbow, this might actually mask this a little bit from Buena, because the drone's not going to get there super early, but now Buena's going to have to see if he can take a guess at where someone is and make that adjustment. See from Azrael, just building a bunch of SUVs. Nothing weird yet. Here comes some Lings. We're just gonna not worry about that and see what's going on with Azrael. Scouting around, see if he can find something. Knowing what we know, Buena's Overlord is going to see this base. The drone is going to see the other one. So, no, you don't see anything suspicious yet. No weird timings. Now we're going to see how fast can Azrael react. We got another supply depot being near the mineral line. One Marine's out and doesn't get caught by the Lings. Manages to get pulled up the ramp. Now, Azrael not really reacting. Finally brings some SCVs to fight this. Needs to just not die. Like, he goes in, he sees how few drones are here. He just needs to not die. So you don't need a lot of SCVs mining minerals or anything, but you got to keep these Marines alive. And like, you should be using these guys like linebackers and just protecting the Marines the best you can. Can't get that done. Azrael loses to a 5 pool. The classic build from 20 years ago. It still works. Oh man. Oh, Buena takes that 2-0 with decisive gameplay. That's the nice way of saying that, right? Weird noise, hum coming through. Okay, I'll have to look into that. I thought I had a lot of that fixed up, but I'll watch the VOD and see what's going on and try to fix that for the next one. Thank you for the feedback. We got a little bit of a shorter cast today. Tomorrow's going to be a lot longer with Tier 2, just because there's more games. So we're going to be going into the next part of our Tier 3 cast. Let's see, who are we got Noob, T45, and Stifle. Terran vs. Terran. Okay. I am the magnet for Terran vs. Terran in CPL. The matchup I know the least about, but apparently just through raw practice, that will change. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I guess T45 is a clan, because I think I played someone in CPL that was a T45, like red T45 or something. So I guess that's a clan. Cool to see that they still exist for lower level players. That's awesome. We do have Noob T45. He's going to be the orange. We got Stifle. He's going to be white. I don't know which one's for which team. Whatever. We're here to cast games, like keeping score and stuff. You can look up the thread on TL. Like, they have a CPL thing. It keeps update every week about how teams are doing, how the matches go. You can look up all that kind of stuff your heart's desired. For me, the casting or just watching CPL, I just want to watch Starcraft. I'm not all about all the super serious production. So nothing crazy yet from either player. Let's see what kind of big deviation. Okay. I think I said that in like the second after I said that, right? Okay, cool. So I'm the magnet for TVT, and apparently tonight I'm the magnet for cheese. That's fine. You know what? You're adding some spice to my TVT. I'm all on it. You can cheese as much as you want. Now I gotta see what kind of cheese is this gonna be. We don't see a gas taken, so I don't think. I mean, you gotta get the barracks first before you take the gas. But with 2 guys moving out like this, is this maybe 2 barracks, like 2 proxy barracks, a barracks and a bunker, or I don't know. We'll have to see. It does seem like we got the 1 barracks here, and And he's got his SCV doing something. Now, as far as small side, like if you look at this side of the map, right? I think if you build them like vertically over here, you can actually hide out of vision. I think when Noob goes to scout, he sees this one. Yeah, he barely sees that one. So let's see if he notices though. Like you barely see that. So let's see. Does Noob notice that? It doesn't. I don't know if it shows up in the mini map, but he did get a glimpse of it. All right, so we got the first gas on the way. Doesn't put extra guys into it, so not rushing for that factory. Although rushing for it would be good. And Noob pulling back sees the barracks and has to figure out what he wants to do here. Immediately starts building a bunker on the low ground. I think that's a good decision. Just try make sure you can stay in a good spot. I don't know if you want to have it like exactly here, but it seems like that's gonna be fine. Then you pull up a couple of CVs because all you gotta do is not die. When you have these hyper aggressive cheeses like this, you just gotta not die. So he should be having this guy already in the bunker, not down the ramp. He should be having plenty of SCVs here to defend it because, like, look, they're pulling the boys. There's so many SCVs here. Like, you can afford to use a couple for blocking the ramp off, repairing the bunker, all that kind of stuff. But instead, the Marine goes down because it's not in the bunker. A little bit of mismanagement. And now he's got one bunker in there. He's going to be able to repair it and be okay holding this off, but this is definitely going to be a decent amount of stuff. And he just didn't pull enough SCVs to really stop this, I think. I do think the alternative is if you did put your guys in the gas immediately and actually got that factory, when you get that first vulture, you can really start fighting this back. So I'm not sure which one would have been better. You see this with the supply count. Noob definitely holding on completely fine. The bunker doing exactly what it needed to do here. So it seemed like it was a little bit scary early on, and some of the units get in here. But if this factory finishes and the vulture goes, like, you don't even have to leave this bunker. You can just go out and try to do something about this. If we see that he's moving out to stop the reinforcements, gonna just eat the losses from a couple Marines. I wish he would turn and fight here or get his Marines out there in the mix. Got plenty of SUVs out here fighting those barracks and cleans up the shit in his base. And Stifle just leaves. I know sometimes replays don't like have all the text. I've definitely seen replays where I'm like, I know I said GG, but you watch it, it doesn't appear. I'm not gonna say anything, but I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't blame him. Definitely a rough way to lose that first game. But I mean, Noob had a really good reaction. Did see it out of the corner of his eye, came back, built the bunker. Like good defense against the cheese like that. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be going into the next game between Noob and Stifle. This one's not going to be on Fighting Spirit. Still Terran vs Terran though. I expect this one to be a little more standard. Like, it's so easy to be properly defensive here, and unlike cross game with the inverted ramps and a 2-player map with a short distance, like, I'm expecting some fast advance or something. Like, you know, get into that proper mid game. Like, the big thing I want is to see, like, I want someone to go drops or I want someone to go rates. Like, if both players just want to go factory and tanks and siege line and positioning, and it's like 40 minutes of tactical positioning gameplay, I'm like, it's not very exciting, I guess. But you know what? Maybe it's the matchup. Like, if you don't play it, you're not gonna appreciate it. You know? Oh, we'll have to see what's going on. We got Stifle in the brown. We got Noob in the yellow, and they're in cross spots, so they both got plenty of time if anything weird's happening. Let's see where we're going from here. It seems like about the time you would leave for something crazy, so I think we're getting some kind of normal build. Sweet. Alright, so we got that first supply depot down for each player. So already good start. I have to see where to go from here. Now, like, there's like little things when you're trying to, like, I'm watching something like this. Like, I don't play Terran at all. I'm very openly and admittedly biased against Terran. So, like, especially like this kind of stuff, I try my best to know like what's going on a little bit, but I don't know like the little nitty gritty stuff, like when's the gas timing, when do you take guys out of gas, like is it how many marines should you make in the beginning before you stop marine production, start floating the racks for fun, like all that kind of stuff. So I'll have to see what's going on here. Looks like both players doing pretty normal stuff, getting that early gas and one barracks, so already like more normal. The barracks are in sight of their home command center, so already off to a much more normal start. It looks like Noob going to be the first one to step out and try for scout. Wonder if he scouts a little more aggressively for a cheese after that first game. And yeah, it looks like he's really scouting just the main area by his entrance. This is a little suspicious. Like, if you're gonna scout out for something like that, wouldn't you scout all the way to the middle? Like, isn't that like the good spots as proxy? But you know what? The way he held the first one is completely fine by me. So if he decides I don't have to check the whole thing, just make sure it's not happening in my natural. Let's see what these players are up to. Both of them just, again, a little bit of marine production. It looks like a Stifle first one to a factory. Noob has gas to start one, just hasn't started yet. These factories are definitely a little cost prohibitive early on, so just wanted to keep his other things going first, I guess. And we do see Noob having the factory started now, a little bit behind, but nothing terribly important, especially if you are going to be aggressive. You have the defender's advantage. Now, we see a second factory from Stifle, and Noob walks in just in time to see it, and sees that the guys are still mining gas. So that's like the indication to me that it's going to not be an expansion build. Like, you keep mining gas. Normally you're supposed to like slow down for a little bit, get your command center up, and then go back into it, because you need the money early, but not like all of it. No crazy reactions from Noob yet. Stifle getting that first vulture, and gonna look like he's finished that up. I don't see like any kind of big like a machine shop ad or anything, so I wonder if it's just gonna be like a little vulture harass, like force them to do something a little more defensive. And we got the vultures from both players, so should be able to defend that without too much issue. And the second factory on the way for Noob as well, just a little slower, but he's not going out of his way to do a really aggressive build. He's still keeping all of his macro up and everything, and just adding the factory when he can. So he won't be able to do that early aggression, but it looks like his SCV count and his money is just going to be in a little bit better spot than Stifle's. You even see like right now, Noob already has the supply depot needed. Stifle's actually supply blocked, so especially if you're trying to do like an early push like this with a little bit of aggression. A little unfortunate to get supply blocked so early. And Noob going forward to build that bunker, looking like he does want to take that early expansion, so just preemptively getting the bunker to stop any kind of little harass like this. Definitely does a good job stopping Marines from pressuring, and actually pretty decent at vultures too, especially if you have vultures blocking the ramp like this, so there's no chance for a run by. Now we do see from Stifle, he pokes up, sees what's going on, isn't doing anything crazy. We don't have the machine shop yet for Stifle, he's just going for raw units. We got the machine shop on the way for Noob, so he's going to be able to start getting tech if he wants it. Now we see trying to go past the bunker. Noob meets him down there, so he has about even numbers of units. Actually, a little bit of a vulture advantage. Then Stifle, fighting in the bunker, loses stuff and just taps out? I guess so. Like, he wanted to be aggressive, lost his stuff in the early thing, and then the opponent already has their expansion like halfway done, and you're not even in a spot to start to. I guess, but jeez, that's unfortunate. I don't know. Like, if you're gonna, I feel like if you're gonna be that aggressive and just be willing to leave if it doesn't work out, then you should be proxying the factories or something. Like, make sure they get there with that little extra speed to actually get the damage done. I'm not sure. But so that was the shortest TBT I've ever seen in my life. Unlucky, I guess, but that was a brutal one. Okay. I was definitely expecting more game to cast, that's why I only wanted to do tier 3 tonight. But we still got my schedule clear. We're going to be doing tier 2 tomorrow, so that's got 4 series, I believe. I don't think there's any walkovers or anything, so we actually got full series of games to play. And it's going to be, I think it has a decent race distribution. I mean, Puck Frotoss, there's no Frotoss on that team, so I'm not sure what we're going to be seeing. I think we do have the luck for some more TBT, which will be super fun.